But you owe me.
GT, before I let you go, just one quick one. Does it make it ever so satisfying that you came here, you came on away soil, boos were coming from that crowd, everyone was against you, and you were victorious?
Yeah, it's very satisfying. I'm waiting for my anxiety to go away because I've been overseas as a fighter many times, and I failed to the judges. You know, I beat the guy, but I failed to the judges, and so I was more worried about that. So I'm super strict on the fighter, so I was screaming no rope, no corner. I don't like none of that. Even though she was winning the rounds, even though she was winning the exchanges on the corners and the rope, I don't like corners and ropes at all, especially on foreign territory. So I'll feel better later, but yeah, you're right.
So one thing I want to say.
It feels better to feel no more. I failed to the judges. You know, I beat overseas as a fighter many times, and I failed to the judges. You know, I beat the guy, but I failed to the judges, and so I was more worried about that. So I'm super strict on the fighter, so I was screaming no rope, no corner. I don't like none of that. Even though she was winning the rounds, even though she was winning the exchanges on the corners and the rope, Bullshit. I don't like corners and ropes at all, especially on foreign territory. So
he don't like corners or ropes, especially on foreign territory. I wonder why that is, because all you goobers who don't know what you're looking at, oh, it was an amazing boxing performance. What the fuck? Her own trainer telling you, yeah? I mean, I've got a picture here. Here you can see Claressa Shields in her other top fight against Christina Hammer. What do you notice? Go back and watch it. Claressa Shields, 95% of the time, didn't leave the centre ring. And in fact, it was reversed. All the pressure was coming from Shields backing up Hammer into the corner. Hammer was mauled. And I've been thinking about this for a while, or over the weekend. I call a spade, and I was wondering, you know what, YB? Are you slipping here? Are your biases getting to you? And I thought, they're not. Do you know how I know they're not? Because guess what? When AJ lost to Usyk twice, I had money on the line the same way. Did you hear me come out and say, oh, it's a robbery, oh, AJ won that fight? No, I was out here dragging the guy. Because he lost. I don't chill. If she'd have lost, yeah, I'd have come out and said, and to be honest with you, I've already dragged Savannah. I've already told you that was the worst performance I've ever seen from her. Yeah? Even so, even being her worst performance, she still, at worst case, got a draw there, in my opinion. Not in my opinion, based on what happened in the fight. Yeah? And her own trainers now come out and said, he don't do ropes. So the question is, why, when a training strategy had nothing, and it's not rocket science here, people. We all know this. You don't go to the ropes unless you're pressed. Yeah? Because, explain it to me. Wait there a minute. Christina Hammer is a similar size to Savannah Marshall, and Shields had no problem backing her to the ropes and working her. Why is it we never saw that once happen the other way around? Show me it. Show me the clip here where Shields pushed Marshall back from the centre ring back to the ropes. It never happened. Yeah? Because Shields was the alpha in the fight against Hammer. Shields was the beater against Marshall, and that's why her trainers, you heard him sit there and say, oh, I can't really celebrate this fight yet because I'm still nervous, because we got a gift decision, because these dons here, Ben Shalong and all the other Cabal dons, fixed the fight. I don't care what no one says. However way you look at this, yeah, there's no way it was 10 rounds to Shields. She ain't do nothing. Her ass was toast on the ropes. Toasted every time. Even round one. Honestly, I'm shocked. I don't know what people was watching. The few flurries Shields had were all rocked and rolled. Yeah? And yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. When Marshall got a combination off, most of them were rocked and rolled. And that's what I'm saying. When two fighters aren't doing much, it comes down to other elements, like who's dominating the ring generalship. And I'm sorry, but I told you before, I don't score fights in a traditional fashion. People can laugh at it or whatever else. I base things on a more holistic approach, meaning that, wait there a minute, if I've watched all your other fights, yeah, and you're normally the aggressor, and you're normally the authoritarian, if I see you pinned on the ropes, something I've never seen you done your whole career, and your own trainer weren't comfortable with you doing, that happens for a reason. And I gotta say, shout out to Sporting Icons. I thought the guy's a bit of an idiot, but he said the same thing. It's not rocket science here. You man don't understand what you're watching. Bottom line. Yeah? You don't go back to the ropes unless you're being oppressed. And listen, I ain't a big boxer, yeah? I've boxed a little bit. And I know this. Listen, if you're winning a fight, yeah? If you're dominating a fight, you go forward. If someone's easy work, if you're comfortable and handling, and if you're comfortable, yeah, and confident, you go forward and press. That's how it works. When I fight my friend, yeah, who's big and strong, guess what? I go backwards. Because this is the way it is. You get, what's the word? You get bulled, yeah? You man the YB, you get bottomed. I'm a bottom. I'm not going to sit here and lie to no one. When you get topped, you go backwards. That's how it works. And you can see in all of Shield's other fights, for the most part, she is the one oppressing, as you can see here. Not sure if you can see actually, but yeah, you can see Shield's here. Oppressing hammer. That didn't happen once in the Marshall fight. Someone explained to me why it didn't happen. Like I said, I've seen, for example, Andre Ward versus Kovalev 2. That there is an example of what I'm talking about. Kovalev, the big crusher. Now, I think Ward lost the first fight. Ward came out, and that was what you call bullying the bully. I've had people telling me, wow, Shields boxed off Marshall's head. What are you talking about? She was in there surviving. Shields got lucky that Shields was a victim the whole night. Shields got lucky, yeah, that Marshall's work was the shoddiest I've ever seen. The fight really went how it should have gone in that sense. Shields had no part. I'm sorry, but Shields had no part to play in this fight. She was a victim the whole way through, and if she wasn't, she'd have been holding the centre of the ring. Bottom line. I've seen Floyd in there with Canelo in the centre of the ring. I've also seen Floyd in there with De La Hoya. His ass was pinned to the ropes. Oops. Yeah. You don't go, but it's not rocket science here. There's a reason Triple G or whoever else put his opponents against the ropes and broke them down. That's how it goes when you're the oppressor. Yeah? There's a reason you didn't see Kell Brook with Triple G on the ropes. Explain it to me, yeah? Oh, why weren't Kell Brook pushing Triple G back to the ropes? Why not? Oops. Because he couldn't, that's why. Yeah? And why was Kell Brook on the ropes for most of the fight against Triple G? Because he oppressed, that's why. And never mind what I'm saying. Clarissa's own trainer saying their whole thing was don't go back to the ropes. So why was she on there for most of the fight? Explain that. Someone explain to me why that was the case. Now, that's not the only point. I'm not saying you win a fight by pushing someone back to the ropes, but that there is a key element. I know for a fact, if I'm in a fight, I want to be the guy who's got the other one pinned. I don't want to be the guy on the ropes. That's a last. Anyone who knows anything about boxing, yeah, knows going back to the rope is a last resort. No one goes there as a. That's never no one's go-to. No one goes into a fight planning, yep, I'm going to get pressed to the ropes and I'm going to try and do what I can off there. No one plans for that. You end up there when too big, too strong. Now, I'm not saying I'm the first one who came out and said. I've heard people saying, oh, Savannah Marshall did a great job. Savannah Marshall was shit in there. That was the worst fight I've ever seen. And that's really why Shields won this fight. Shields won this fight, not because she won it. Again, look at Devin Haney. Devin Haney won that fight against Kambosos. Kambosos came out aggressive. Hey, how many times did you see Haney oppress on the ropes? Never. Yeah, that's an outboxing performance. That's how you box someone's ears off. I've heard people saying, yeah, Shields and Haney. What the fuck are you talking about? They're not completely different. People don't know, I swear to God, people don't actually know what they're looking at. If you're looking at what Shields did against Marshall and what Haney did against Kambosos, you ain't got a clue what you're looking at. Oh, great boxing before. Shields was in there surviving. Shields was a beneficiary the whole way through of Marshall's 0 out of 10 performance. And even then, even when this great outboxer, even when Shields had a person in front of her with her hands down and walking forward, even then, she only got a few 1 or 2 clean shots off here and there, which, by the way, took no effect. People talk about, well, I even said, Savannah Marshall's aggression wasn't able to translate that effectively. Equally, though, Claressa Shields' counterpunching wasn't translated well either. If you've got someone walking in, hands down, how haven't you completely butchered them? I don't understand that. We've seen George Kambosos walk forward into Devin Haney. He get butchered. And I'd argue Savannah Marshall was even more relentless. She was even more walking forward with her hands down. And you couldn't do nothing, bottom line. No matter what Shields did, nothing deterred Savannah Marshall from coming forward. Which tells me, again, people talk about a lack of effective aggression. Agreed. But equally, if you've got someone coming forward and not effectively, how aren't you boxing their ears off effectively? That's the question. Not to mention, in all fairness to Savannah Marshall, she was doing what she was doing, and she was doing this. I got to be honest, she was doing a similar job, in as much as putting combinations together, and many were missing. But the same can be said for Shields. I don't know what people was watching. I actually don't know what people was watching. I don't know what people see to see. This for me was as close to a 50-50 fight as you can get. I don't know what people are on about 7-8 and 8-2 or whatever it was. I ain't got a clue what they're talking about. And the fact that her own trainer coming out here saying, that to me says it all. Yeah? Because even the people involved in the event, and that's why I am quite shocked at Team Marshall, man. And that's why I tell you they've been paid off. Because I've never seen someone be so happy to lose before. This is Savannah Marshall's post here. I am absolutely gutted. I came up short last night against a better fighter. Like, what the fuck? I tweeted out that I've got to say an apology to Wilder, because I've slagged off Wilder when Wilder was being aggressive towards Tyson Fury after the fight. I came out kind of trolling Deontay Wilder, but I've got to say, I recently in particular, I put my hands in the air. I was wrong, and I'm gaining more and more respect for Wilder every day. Why? Well, I actually agree with him now, thinking about things. Yeah? Now, I've never been to no sport at these guys' levels, but whatever I've done in sport, yeah, when I lose, I can't stand the guy. There's no way, even if I am the best, even if it's blatant I've lost, yeah, there's no way I'm tearing no one. Yeah, fuck that guy. How about that? Oops. Yeah? And I wasn't even in the fight game. But still, that's how I felt. There's no way I'm going to lose, yeah, and come out and suck the guy off who beat me. No way. There's just no way. I don't care what no one says. I don't care how obvious it was. Let everyone else say that. I ain't saying that. But then these guys today, came out, and for me it was like, Savannah Marshall's just been in there for 10 rounds. She was the one pushing the pace. If there was ever a time, we've seen, for example, go back and watch Josh Taylor versus Catterall. Josh Taylor versus Catterall is a much better example of what you do, of how you piece someone up who's walking forward. Josh Taylor relentlessly walked forward, and Catterall took advantage of that. He pieced him up and then didn't allow Josh Taylor to get his work off by clinching. Difference is, Shields really didn't clinch too much. Shields was happy to sit on the ropes, and that's what enabled Savannah Marshall to get her shots off. Did they land clean? No, but the same thing can be said. Go back and watch it. When Shields had her flurries, Marshall was rocking and rolling. And Marshall, even after the fight, said, I was rocking and rolling most of the shots. So I don't get that. Savannah Marshall was able to push back and, in my opinion, outwork the smaller fighter with quicker hands and allegedly better counter-punching. And really, Shields didn't make Marshall... Bear in mind, Marshall was walking forward relentlessly with her hands down the whole night. Shields just didn't, on an overall basis, Shields just didn't make her pay enough. I'm sorry. For the amount of mistakes Marshall was making, she had no jab coming in, she had no feints. Marshall was literally walking forward and banging away with her hands down. No feints, no jab, just walking forward. And for someone to be doing that, and, I mean, look at their faces. For someone who's walking forward with her hands down, yeah, with no tricks and no IQ, it should have been, she should have been tattooed up. Look at Josh Taylor. When Josh Taylor was in there with Catterall, he got tattooed. That wasn't the case. This wasn't a tattoo match. This was a Marshall's exchanging, Shields is exchanging, 1 or 2 punches here and there. Which, by the way, none of which took effect. Because if a shot started taking effect, we've seen it thousands of times. Someone starts on the front foot, they get touched a few times, all of a sudden they've conceded that pressure, and all of a sudden they're now happy to fight in the centre of the ring. Savannah never conceded anything. Savannah was always happy to keep pushing forward, which tells me what was Shields really doing? If you can hit, for all this outboxing stuff, why is it Shields was never able to turn off Marshall's aggression? That tells me that Marshall weren't phased whatsoever. And with the same breath, the fact that Shields was consistently happy to concede the centre ring was telling me she is bothered. Because listen, if someone can't punch you, if someone isn't strong, if someone isn't worrying you, you don't go backwards. Hence, Shields versus Hammer. Hammer wasn't worrying her, so she was the one pushing. That's how it works. It's not rocket science here. But when a fighter who's never spent her life on the ropes in Claressa Shields all of a sudden finds herself there, pinned almost, from the round 1, go back and watch it. From round 1, Marshall's pushing forward. And all the commentators sucked off that flurry in round 1. It was rocked and rolled. And I expect the paid off commentators to be biased, but what I don't expect is for an athlete of this level to come out shilling for the other side. The minute the score was read out, Marshall was saying, yeah, she's a better fighter, she's the greatest of all time. I thought, what? You're supposed to be arch enemies. I don't get that. I don't understand it. All the weirdo fans, oh, it's great to see sportsmanship. No, it's not great to see sportsmanship, because Savannah could have told us that. The same way I cussed AJ out. Yeah, AJ, if you're soft, don't tell people you're going to get the KO. Now, in all fairness, Marshall came to fight. Marshall didn't pull an AJ. She came to fight almost too much. But still, don't tell us there's this big rivalry and then after the fight, oh yeah, she beat me, she's the best fighter ever. And Peter Fury even said, the fight was close, the fight was 50-50. How can you be in a 50-50 fight and then after it, you're just proper shilling for the other side? Just don't make no sense whatsoever. And I'm sure Marshall was told, if you lose this fight, or I believe there was people involved who knew she was going to lose anyway. Look at the cards. I don't give a F what no one says. This fight was 50-50. Yeah, go back and I'd love to do an analysis on it, but Sky won't let anyone use the footage. Go back and watch it, yeah, without the sound on. I'm not even one of them guys who normally says that, but the commentary was shocking. I couldn't believe it. I didn't actually watch the fight live, but when I heard everyone, YB, it was awful, when I actually turned it on, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I saw someone marching forward, putting shots together, albeit not the cleanest work, but neither was Shields. That's what I'm saying. Shields wasn't the cleanest work either. And most importantly, whatever work Shields did, it had no effect. Yeah, people, for example, you look at Triple G. What I can't understand here, people would applaud Triple G for walking forward. They'd say, he just eats the shots. He doesn't faze him. Yet when Savannah Marshall does it, it don't count for nothing. Explain it. Someone explain it to me. Yeah, because when Triple G or Canelo marches forward and applies the pressure, people go wild for it. Oh, wow. Iron chin and all this other stuff. And you get points for that. Naturally so. Why wouldn't you? Why would you not get points for walking through the fire and showing no regard? That's the pinnacle of, that's the pinnacle of combat. That means you're a super soldier. If you're able to relentlessly walk forward and not show any regard to your opponent's offense, how is that not held in the highest regard? I don't understand that. Anyone can back up. That's the first thing, that's the natural human reaction. Anyone, when pressed, can move backwards. Who can't do that? I can do that. What everyone can't do is march forward through the fire and show no regard. Yeah? That's the bottom line. Human instinct is to move backwards when put under pressure. A man who has no training can do that. A man who has no training, can find themselves pinned on the ropes. A man with no training can't push forward relentlessly and show no regard. Yeah? And that's what Marshall did the whole night. The whole night, Marshall had no regard, which tells me Shields' shots weren't doing fuck all. And Marshall was the one pushing the fight, making the fight, and putting her hands together and oppressing Shields the whole way through. Now, if you want to sit there and count a few pot shots here and there over 20 minutes of pure regardless, she showed no regard. Savannah Marshall showed no regard for anything Shields was doing. At not one point can you see Marshall say, damn, these shots are having effect. Damn, I need to now concede the centre ring. When people are tired, when people are outgunned, they go backwards. You won't see someone outgunned here just standing there, or you never see someone outgunned here on top of the other person against the ropes. You never see that. When someone's outgunned, they end up breaking down and naturally receding. That's how it goes. George Kambosos is a great example of that. Early in the fight, Kambosos coming forward. Towards the end, he just a victim, just standing there waiting to get teed off on. That was never the case with Marshall the whole way through. And I'm shocked that she coming out here, and that's what I believe. I believe the fix was in. Shields has certain friends, and they bought the judges, bottom line. They bought the judges the other way. The same way Baumgartner got robbed. The same way Mayer got robbed. Shocking. Because for Shields to come out, this is your arch enemy, and for Shields to come out, for Marshall to come out, and she's just shilling. Oh yeah, she did better fight. For what the fuck? You've won that fight. You should fit after that performance. Yeah, listen, let me tell you this now. If I'm in a fight, yeah, and I'm the one going forward, and I'm the one showing no regard for anything my opponent's doing, I'm the one making the fight, I'm the one putting shots together, I'm the one pinning you on the ropes. If I go in that fight and do that, and I lose the fight, I'm screaming bloody murder. And I'd be out here telling you why. I'd have been on the mic saying, listen, that chick couldn't stop me coming forward the whole night. She got pillows in her fists. I'd have been on the mic saying, listen, you were stuck on the ropes. How can you win a fight stuck on the ropes? Why didn't you hold your feet and fight me in the centre of the ring? Like every other great boxer does. Devin Haney wait a minute. Why wasn't Devin Haney pinned on the ropes against George Kambosos? Yeah? Explain. Why wasn't Floyd Mayweather pinned on the ropes against Canelo? Explain. Why wasn't Andre Ward pinned on the ropes against Kovalev 2 times? Go on. I need to hear these explanations. I tell you why. Yeah? Shields was outgunned and she was shit out of luck. And she got lucky because she had the judges, and she got lucky because Marshall was 1 out of 10. I said to everyone, if Marshall comes in and has an average performance, it's going to be a whitewash. And I stand by that. I really do. Based on what I've seen, I'm even more convinced that Marshall hasn't. Based on what I've seen, yeah, I'm absolutely convinced that Shields has absolutely no answers. She got super duper lucky, truth be known. Because that was the most basic Savannah I've ever seen. There was no bells and whistles. It was hands down, walking forward. You can't get any lower. I'm not sure how you could be worse than that. Go back and watch the first fight in the amateurs. I was expecting an improvement on that. Marshall came out, she used her length and kept Shields under control with a jab. Now, and that's the crazy thing. Do you know what the funny thing is? The funny thing is, when Marshall went in there in the amateurs, yeah, and used her size, people said, oh, Shields was the aggressor. Shields was the one putting shots together. That's what they said. I swear to God. And I got to be honest with you. I'm not someone who picks and chooses. I have to admit, I think Marshall lost the amateur fight. Why? Again, I hold the person pushing the fight. I hold the person being aggressive in high regard. And in that amateur fight, Shields was the one pushing forward. Shields was and Savannah Marshall was the one who didn't look like she wanted to exchange. And in fact, there's a clip of Claressa Shields reacting to the amateur footage, and she said, "Oh, she was running from me. She was backpedaling. Why is she running if she's so big and strong?" Now, though, we go into the pros, and the opposite happens. Even more so, to be quite frank, because guess what? In the amateurs, Marshall was never pinned on the ropes for half of the fight. That never happened. Marshall actually was able to use her footwork to manoeuvre Shields. To manoeuvre Shields. You didn't see Marshall huddled on the ropes and having to rock and roll and whatever else. No, it didn't happen. But for some reason, the opposite happens in the pros. Even more so. And now everyone's talking about the outboxer. It's like whatever Shields does seems to be the winning answer. That don't work in my world. You can't pick and choose. That said, though, the amateur performance from Marshall, I was expecting a compounding upon that. I was expecting Marshall to come out, use her length. We know Marshall's gained power since 10 years ago. I was expecting Marshall to use her length, have more authority on the jab. And in fact, watch the first round. Watch the first 30 seconds of the first round. That to me showed, at length, Shields had no answers whatsoever. Because in the first 30 seconds of the first round, Marshall was edging forward and jabbing and moving. And Shields was missing by 2 or 3 inches because of the length. That's how she should have fought. And then built in the pressure when she got her range and when she got her confidence. She ain't do that. There was no feints. There was so much she could have built on from the amateurs. She could have built in some power. She could have built in a more authoritative jab. She could have built in the feints. And that's what I mean. Even though Marshall, no, I'm not just saying this, yeah. Again, people think, oh, you're picking and choosing. I'm not. Absolutely not. If it was the other way, I'd tell you right now. But I've got to be honest here. Marshall picked the absolute worst strategy. I don't know what they was doing in camp. Peter Fury came out on Twitter and said, oh, everyone's saying we had a bad strategy. There's a few people who held it down and was being deadly honest. And it was shocking. The strategy was shocking, man. Walk forward with your hands down and just slap shots together. Now, that might sound YB, but you've said that Marshall won. How can you say she won when she was just slapping shots together? Listen, the reason she won was because Shields weren't doing nothing different. Shields was even worse. Have you seen her flurries? I don't get it. People were slagging off Marshall's offense, and rightly so, but Shields was even worse. Shields was just slapping away, thrashing. And everyone was ranting and raving about it. Wow, the combination. What are you watching? The shots weren't doing nothing. Because if they was, listen, anyone who knows anything about boxing, yeah, anyone who's been in the ring will know. If you're being overwhelmed, you don't carry on pushing forward. Do you understand that? No one does that. If you find out, damn man, she's heavy-handed. Damn man, I didn't like that combination. You don't go walking right into it again. And Marshall had no regard for this chick whatsoever. And her own trainer, 2 days later, can't even enjoy the win because he knows he didn't get it. Fake ass win. It wasn't even a win. And I'm the first person. If listen, do you really think, yeah, if Claressa Shields had gone in there like Devin Haney did, do you really think I'd be sitting there saying this? If she'd have put on a true boxing clinic, yeah, like Andre Ward has done, like Devin Haney has done, like whoever else you want has done. Even Usyk versus AJ. If that had happened, I'd be the first person on here saying, man, you got your ears boxed off. That's just not what happened. This fight was worse. This fight was 60-40 to Savannah or 50-50. There's no way Shields won this fight. There's just no way. No way. Certainly not in the UK as well. In the UK, I mean, people got to bear in mind. I've even heard people in the comment section saying, "Oh, Shields was too aggressive." What the fuck? What are you talking about? It's honestly unbelievable. People don't know. Honestly, 90% of boxing fans have 70 IQ at most. She was too aggressive. What were you watching? I don't get that. Someone explain to me what they mean by she was too aggressive with her ass on the ropes for the whole fight. Here we go, look. Here we go, look. You were fantastic. What? Great performance. That's what I mean. Most people, yeah, don't have a clue what they're watching. Not even a bit. You boxed well, just the better one. She boxed shit. She looked the worst I've ever seen her. That's just God's honest truth. Listen, it's not nothing to do with honestly, I'd preferred today, yeah. This weekend, I would have preferred Shields to actually have won. That's the God's honest truth. I'd have preferred Shields to come out and have looked like Devin Haney versus Kambosos. At least then, I'd be like, yeah, man. I'm even more pissed off now because I feel like the analysis was right. People laughed at me. Oh, YB, what happened to Too Big Too Strong? What do you mean what happened to it? You saw it on your screen, you idiot. Too Big Too Strong was 100% correct. Because Too Big Too Strong meant your fighter was just waiting. She was just sitting on the ropes waiting to be got. Truth be known. And if Marshall had worked on her composure, it would have been a 10-10. Honestly, if Marshall had have composed herself, I said the other day, people don't understand. Getting a fighter to the ropes is the most premier position in boxing. Most pressure fighters spend half of the fight cutting the ring off. That's the hard part normally. Normally the hard part isn't once you've got them there. The hard part is manoeuvring your opponent to the ropes. That's the premier position. Pressure fighters spend their whole life in the ring trying to get their opponent to the ropes, where they have no options and where they can then tee off. Marshall had no problem getting her there. When she got there, it was scrappy. When she got there, and that's why I'm so pissed off at Peter Fury. Peter Fury's a bum-ass trainer, truth be known. In the clutch moments, he made it worse. All you heard from Peter Fury was, oh, go to war. What the fuck? She needed to be told, calm the fuck down. We're forgetting our jab and we're forgetting our feints. Feint coming in. There's nothing wrong with you're 7 foot tall. There's nothing wrong with picking some rounds up just with a jab. That's how the fight should have started. But there's all these different... I'm not even saying... Even with what Savannah was doing, okay, scrap the jab, okay, scrap the feints. I wouldn't even have minded if Peter Fury had said, calm down, you're rushing your work, Sav. You're rushing your work. For this next round, don't throw more than 2 or 3 shots per exchange. 2 or 3 shots, and I want you rocking and rolling and ready to reset. Because what makes Shields dangerous is when you get 5 shots off and she pops one in between, which is what was often what's happening, or when you get a flurry of shots off and then you stand there still. Savannah should have been getting in, getting her pieces off and pulling back. Up, down, up. That's how it normally goes. Savannah was, again, I think it comes down to she wanted it too much. She wasn't disengaging. It was all engage. Too much the other way. You got to get the balance right. You cut the ring off, get your work off, and get out. Get in, get out. You don't want to be standing there, toe to toe, against someone who can pot shot, against someone with super quick hands. Having said that, though, and that's what I said earlier, bearing in mind how bad Savannah was strategically, i.e., holding her feet and standing in front of Shields, how did Shields really, over 10 rounds, 10 rounds of having someone with their hands down in front of you, what did Shields really do? What did she really accomplish? Go on. What was it? She accomplished the odd pot shot here and there. There was no relentless butchering as such, which is what I would have expected. Given how poor Savannah was, I would have expected a true butchering. And it wasn't. It was nip and tuck, and Shields was, in my opinion, taking more than she was given. Which was exampled by the amount of time she spent on the ropes. And the combinations that Marshall put together, there was a lot of body shots, which clearly the judges didn't count. Yeah, Shields had a few good shots, but Marshall's left hook to the body was landing every time. Again, difference is Savannah Marshall's work led to Shields conceding all of her stature in that sense. Shields was on the ropes, in trouble. Bottom line, that's in my opinion. Whereas the work that Shields did took no effect. That to me is held in the absolute highest regard. You don't get better than that, in my opinion. You don't get better than hitting someone and it not doing nothing to them. Like I said, when Triple G goes in there against bums, yeah, and he walks forward and pins someone to the ropes and butchers away, everyone applauds, and rightfully so. But yet, Savannah Marshall, who isn't going in there with a bum, does the same thing, and all of a sudden it don't get counted. And that's the thing. Someone explain that to me. Explain why Triple G doing it, everyone loves it. At the weekend, Marshall did it to an even higher extent, and somehow that people are giving it to the guy who doing a little bit here and there. When Triple G pushes someone back here to the ropes, and then you see him get rocked with a counter, naturally. That's how it goes. Yeah? When you're the one closing the gap, when you're the one putting the combinations together, you're going to be able to get pot shotted. That's how it works. The difference is, what effect did that pot shot have? The reason people used to proclaim Triple G so much was because people would say, wow, it doesn't matter what they do, he just keep coming forward. Yeah, he takes a shot and he carries on. Doesn't faze him. Marshall does the same thing. They're losing the rounds. The pot shots. I'm sorry, that does not compute in my mind. And all the people out there saying, you've lost it, YB, you've lost it, yeah. Don't just waffle. Counter the points I'm making. Counter it. Yeah? Because if someone's pot shotting me, and it's having absolutely no effect, and I've got no respect for it, and I'm standing in front of them, and I'm carrying on to work, who gives a fuck? That's my opinion. It's about effective counterpunching. What is the result of your counterpunches? For example, I've seen Floyd Mayweather in there, yeah, with Canelo. Canelo comes forward, Floyd pops him. All of a sudden, Canelo is now, what's the word? He's much more, not anticipating. He is, anyway, listen. Canelo comes forward, Floyd pot shots him, and now Canelo's thinking twice before he commits. And really, that Floyd versus Canelo fight, Canelo spent the whole fight at not really wanting to commit. Yeah? Canelo got turned off. That's how it normally goes. If someone respects the hands, if someone respects the power, and that's the thing, I think even Shields ended up trying to copy Floyd. One of Floyd's key sayings was, why don't these guys maul me? Yeah, if I'm pillow-fisted, why don't these guys maul me? Which is a fair thing to say. Up until De La Hoya, no one has been prepared to walk through Floyd, apart from De La Hoya. Shields tried saying the same thing. People say I ain't got no power. Why don't they? No one wants to walk forward with me. Oops. Well, how'd that work at the weekend? Because I didn't see Marshall once say, you know what? I don't want to close the gap down. So anyway, I keep going round in circles, but that is the ultimate bottom line here, people. Her own trainer was G. Why? If it's not a big deal, if you can be so amazing off the ropes, why? And again, don't come and tell me about YB you're losing it. Actually reply to the points I'm making. Because otherwise you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah? Now, I'd love to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. Now, I'd also suggest people watch back the fight without the commentary on. The commentary was shocking. The commentary was sucking off everything Shields did. And then Marshall would do something similar. In fact, I've seen Shields get a flurry off. Most of it not land. Marshall does the same thing. And they'd be talking about Shields' defense. Shields is just so slick. What? Wait a minute. When Shields was thrashing and Marshall was rocking and rolling, it was, the shots are getting through. And that's what I mean. I'm sorry, yeah. People were paid off. Bottom line. The commentary was paid off. And I think I hate to break it to you. A lot of you man, who haven't watched the fight back. It's on YouTube now. Go on YouTube and type in Shields versus Marshall full fight. Don't put the commentary on. And then watch it without the commentary. And then actually watch it with the commentary. Just to hear how bad it was. I heard the USA commentary was even worse. But a lot of you, man, I hate to say it, but it's true. The truth is, a lot of you, man, don't know what you're looking at. And number two, you hear the commentary, and then it's naturally, psychologically, it's reconditioning what actually happened in the fight. I couldn't believe it. When people told me, before I actually watched the fight, people told me what it was like. I thought, wow, it must be bad. I go over there and watch it. And yeah, what Marshall was not the cleanest at all. But neither was Shields. And when it came down to it, there's only one dominant fighter in that ring. And then after the fight, to have Marshall out there shilling for Shields, it's just shocking. And this isn't proof that people have been paid off. I believe Marshall was told, when you lose the fight, if you act gracious, if you suck us off, we'll double your purse. That's what I believe's happened here. Marshall's been told, shill for our win, and we'll pay you extra. Where's the evidence of this? Well, why is it? Peter Fury even came out and said the scores were bullshit, the fight is 50-50. That's what I believe in as well. I believe it was 60-40 towards Sav. So if I can see that, I'm not even involved in the fight. I can see that. Peter Fury can see that. Sporting icons can see that. Savannah Marshall, who's in the ring, I said earlier, I haven't done loads of boxing yet, but I know the boxing I have done, when I'm in there with someone and I can control them and I'm going forward, there's just no way. There's no way I'm going to be in a fight with someone, yeah, and constantly press forward and constantly pin them against the ropes, and then after the fight be talking about, just think about that process for a minute, people. Just think about it. I've already talked about Triple G, but just think about it for yourself. You're in a fight with someone, yeah, you keep going forward, you don't care about the shots they land, and you're the one got them pinned to the ropes, getting your shots off, and you show no regard for what they're doing. That happens, and after the fight's finished, you're sitting there talking about he's better than me. What the fuck? How can he be better than me? When every time your opposition was conceding the centre ring. It's almost like a football match, yeah? Imagine a football match with no goals scored, and you spent 90% of the match in your opponent's half. 90% of the football match was spent in your opponent's half. There's no way that team can come out and say, that was a tough night tonight. They were the better team. How'd you work that one out? Anyway, man, listen, that's the bottom line. I'm intrigued. I want to hear what people have got to say about the things I've said. Not all the waffling stuff. Oh, YB, you're smoking this, you're smoking that. Actually refute the points I'm making. Because I haven't heard no one come with an actual logical argument yet. I've heard people waffling. I've heard people repeating what they heard. Yeah, Claressa Shields said, I won the first 5 rounds easy. I got these clowns out here saying, she won the first 5 rounds easy. In what planet are you on? Honestly, it's madness. And I really do wish, deep down, I wish Shields had have properly boxed off Marshall's head. At least then, I could agree with you. But my eyes ain't lying to me, so I don't know what it is. It's mad.